Hola, buenos dias. We changed the setting around a little bit. Previous episode, you were over there looking at my dresser, but this is nicer. I actually wanted to film in my kitchen because I thought my kitchen looked even better because I have like little plants and stuff and the background is just white, but there's not that much direct lighting in there right now. I only get direct lighting in the afternoons, but it's been very gray these days, so this is like really the brightest spot in my apartment right now. I will cut out every part of me eating this oatmeal because I won't be bothering you with me eating oatmeal. I thought I looked good about like 5 minutes ago, and then I looked at the camera and I was like, why does my hair look like that? Why does it look like that? Also, I don't need these glasses right now. These are blue light glasses, but I just wanted to wear them because I thought they were cute. And I think they look good with my sweater. So let me take a bite of this oatmeal and then I'll put it away for you. So, hi, if you're welcome. If you're new, my name is Inke, and this is my channel, Monsters Inke, where I regret the name of my channel a lot and talk about yarn and knitting in specifics. I used to draw a lot, I used to paint, I used to sew, but right now, for the past 3 years, knitting has been my thing. So, I'm sitting here like I'm a mob boss, but it's truly the most comfortable position. In this podcast, we talk about knitting. Obviously, we talk about the things that I have finished, what I am currently knitting, what I'm planning on, and what yarns I've bought. I don't buy yarn that much on a regular basis, so that's not really like a big thing. But yeah, let's get started. And let's get started with the thing I'm wearing. This is the chestnut sweater by Petite Knit, made with Malabrigo Rios yarn in the color lettuce. As you know from my previous videos, this yarn was gifted to me. It was gifted to me somewhere in the summer, and I started this project in August while I was in Spain, in Sevilla. And I've been working on it ever since. The first project I made with the yarn they gifted me was the blouse number 1, which I also showed 2 podcasts ago, and this one I wanted to finish at the end of the summer, but it's the end of October right now, which is crazy, by the way. It's the end of October. Halloween is like this weekend, and I don't have a costume yet. By the way, I'm going as Cody from Surf's Up because everybody seems to be going as him on TikTok, but I completely forgot about that movie, and I just remembered how hilarious it was, and so I want to go as either Chicken Joe or Cody. So back to the sweater. I love it a lot. I put it aside for a while to work on the next project that I'm going to show you because that had to be done because it was a present for my cousin. And also I put it aside because of this humongous collar on 3mm needles that was just giving my hands so much pain, and I just did not want to work on it. And then, sleeves. Who wants to knit sleeves? This is made on 4mm needles. I've talked about it a couple of times before. It is so soft. I've had people ask me on my TikTok. By the way, follow me on TikTok. We're doing good over there. And people are like, is it itchy? Like, I want to try it, but it seems itchy. This is buttery soft. This is like a buttery soft yarn. It's lovely. It's 100% wool, I'm pretty sure. It's very soft. It's very smooth. And I can't really tell you about the pilling yet. I don't know if it pills a lot yet because I haven't worn it that much, but I do really like the colorway. It's hand dyed. The only issue that I have with it is that I'm wearing very short sports shorts. Okay, so I don't want you to look at that. The bottom part, the color changes quite drastically because I think it's from a different dye lot, which is kind of sad, but it's on the bottom, so thank God it's not like a stripe in the middle of the sweater. So it's fine. I did block it. I blocked the sleeves and I blocked the bottom. I did not block like the whole body and the neckline because I thought those looked good as well. And I was also really impatient to wear it right away. So I didn't want to block the entire thing because then it would have to dry a lot longer. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's been a while since I've made something on 4mm needles because just like I feel like everybody else, we're moving towards this era of my favorite things in knitwear, kind of 6 to 7 7mm needles. I must say I'm not a fan of anything above 5.5 because I don't like the look of something too chunky, and I like it when a sweater looks store-bought. So if you want it to look store-bought, in my opinion, I get to like a 4mm needle to have like the perfect gauge for that. But yeah, I don't really know if I have anything else to say about this. I love the fit of this chestnut sweater. It's like oversized in the perfect way. And I don't know, I hate knitting up turtlenecks, and a lot of the time I don't think I look good in turtlenecks. So I don't know why I actually made this one, but I had this pattern from like a year and a half ago, but I lost it somewhere on my phone, and I was like, I thought I was hallucinating. I was like, I know I bought this pattern. I know I have it, but where the fuck did it go? Where did it go? And then I found it on my phone and was like, now I have to make it because I can't stand it. I'm not the type of person to buy patterns and then not make them immediately. I buy patterns when I want to get started on a new project. Like, I don't have an array. Like, I have lists of patterns that I want to make, but I don't buy them before like actually getting started on them. Like, for example, now I'm working on this sweater that you'll see later, and I bought the yarn and there's no pattern, but I bought the yarn just for this project. I didn't buy the yarn before deciding on a project. I'm that type of person. I try to keep my stash as small as possible. The only like yarn that I have lying around without a project is leftover yarn. So yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, I bought this pattern. This was like the only pattern I had in the back of my phone that I didn't actually like plan on making immediately, but now I did. So now that's cleaned up. Okay, I'm gonna take another bite of my oatmeal. Okay, so let's talk about finished project 2, which is the weekend sweater. I talked about it in my previous podcast as well, and I think that was 3 weeks ago, and then it was only the yoke. So in those 3 weeks, I actually finished the entire thing. Let's see if I can balance my phone. Yeah. And it looks like this, and I think she's beautiful. Again, made in Drops Air, 5.5 millimeters. We modified, I say we because my cousin who I made this for just had a couple of demands. The only thing I really modified was the length. I made it a little shorter than the pattern suggested, and I made the neck a little more narrow than was suggested because we didn't like that look of the collar going all the way up to here. But I already explained everything about like the yarn we chose and stuff in the other podcast. I really like this color, and I also really like the yarn and the sweater itself. So if I ever feel like it, I will definitely make one for myself. Although I don't feel like I get bored really easily. So I want to keep trying out new patterns again and again and again. So I'm not the type of person to make a pattern twice, but I do really like this one. It's a good basic, and I had never worked with Drops Air before, but it's a delight. It's such a delight to work with, and I have almost 2 full skeins left, so I think I could make like a hat or something with it, but I'm scared that if I make a hat with it, it'll get dirty really fast because it rains, or you wear it outside a lot, like it's an outer layer, but I don't know what I could do with just 2 skeins besides like a beanie, so I'm not gonna try it on right now because I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible. Because it is so white, you can like see every speckle of dust that is on there. This is alpaca, so I need to tell my cousin to hand wash this, to not put this in the washing machine, or else it'll be this big and then I'm gonna cry, and I'm not gonna make a new one for her. So yeah, I think it was lovely. The sleeves went by really fast as well. They're really wide. That's the thing I did too. They're a little bit wider than the original pattern, just because I really like that straight sleeve look. I mean, I decreased a little bit, but not that much because I just like the way that it looked. And yeah, and it's really lightweight, but still really warm, which is what my cousin wanted. So that's really all I have to say about that sweater. I feel like I'm rushing through these projects, but I'm really not. But at times I feel like I have 100 things to say, and then sometimes I feel like I have nothing to say. But I also just felt like I wanted to film another podcast and not necessarily make it a super long one. Although I feel like I don't have that many new things going on. But then again, I finished 2 whole sweaters and I started 3 new projects, which I shouldn't be allowed, but I'll explain you why I have 3 new projects. So I told myself I can only have 2 projects at once, and I was working those 2 projects I had going on. I started that rule right after I finished that weekend sweater for my cousin. And so my 2 projects were this sweater and then the scarf that I'm working on right now. And I don't even know if I started this in the previous podcast, but I do remember talking about the yarn and why I was working with the yarn. But anyways, I have about 1.20 meters of the scarf done. And I want to go until 170 because that's what Petite Knit does for her scarves. Like, I've looked it up. 170 to 180 seems like a normal length for a scarf. So we need to do, I think I have 130 now, not 120. And I need like 40 more centimeters. I worked so this is Amel. I don't know the name. I don't remember the name. But I worked an I-cord edge, and then 2 pearls, 6 stockinette stitches, and so on. And it's going to be a really wide scarf. It doesn't look like it yet because I haven't blocked it. And I was actually surprised, like I stretched it out on the floor last night, and I was like, ooh, that's going to be a really wide scarf. But then again, I have 3 balls of this yarn, and that'll definitely be enough for the entire scarf, because at first I was scared because I made it this wide that I wasn't going to have enough yarn, and I wasn't going to buy any new yarn. But I think, like, I didn't plan on making it this wide, but now I actually do like the idea of it if it's blocked and it's going to be this wide. So this is made on 5 or 5.5, I don't know, 5 millimeter as well. The yarn is very much like a mohair-y, I already showed this, but it's like mohair. It's a black base with a pink mohair, and then these black, pink, orange, and sometimes like a little bit more of a purple speckles in there. And I thought it was really cool. Like, I wouldn't have made an entire sweater of this for myself, but for like a scarf, I think it's like a really cool staple piece. It's very exciting because for my sweaters, I tend to go like really neutral colors lately because I'm like scared that I wouldn't wear them if they're too exciting. But then again, I made this bright green sweater, and it's not like exciting in patterns and stuff, but I do think it's really cool that it's like this uneven hand-dyed green. And I've been really into this green lately. And so I felt like a staple, cool, colorful scarf could do absolutely no harm. I worked on this, like almost all of this I knit during my lectures, and that seems like it has taken me a really long time, but like 10 rows is like 5 centimeters or something like that. So it goes by really fast, and it's on 5.5 millimeter needles. And because it's like a mohair yarn, it looks kind of scraggly, like the stitches, the tension isn't really like even, but I like that look with this mohair. Like, I wouldn't have done it with just a normal sport or a DK, but yeah, I think it looks nice. I don't know why do I have nothing to say today? Usually I have so much to say. Okay, before we move on to the next project, I'm just going to finish my oatmeal because it's just staring at me and it's cooling down and I just want to eat it. So I'll see you in like 10 minutes. Okay, we're back, people. Finished my oatmeal. And I put my glasses on the top of my head because I thought it looked better. I just wish I could do these whole podcasts in a British accent because I can choose. You know, I'm neither American nor British, so I can choose. It would only be weird if I was an American speaking like this, or weird if I was British and speaking like this. But just because little me from 3 to 4 years ago decided to talk in an American accent on my YouTube channel, I now can't switch. But I speak like this in class because I love British people. I feel embarrassed to speak like this, but I wish I could. It makes me feel, in a way, more pretentious. But I just hate how I sound with an American accent. I just feel like the vocal fry, my voice goes lower for no reason, and I just prefer it this way. Anyway, my hair looked like shit, so I put my glasses on the top of my head. I just want to be, oh my god, I just feel like I want to be like Gillian Anderson. Is someone coming up to my floor? I don't know if my neighbours are on their floor or on my floor. I hope they don't come knocking because I'm recording my podcast too loud. Anyway, I want to be like Gillian Anderson. She was born American, but she lived in England or whatever, so she just switches to wherever she is. If she's in America, she speaks in an American accent. If she's in England, she speaks like this. I want to do that too. I want to choose. And it makes sense, you know, if you can do both, then do it. And I think I can do a decent British accent. So I would love to do it. When I was visiting my cousin in Oxford, I was going around talking like this. What are they doing? Whatever. Okay. Back to the American accent. Okay. So, I talked about that scarf. Let's talk about another scarf. I don't know if I even talked about this in the previous podcast, but one of my friends, Lieke, turned 20, and I decided to knit her a Sophie scarf in the same Slovenian yarn that I made my bonnet in, and she loved it so much that she showed her mom, and her mom loved it so much that she asked me if I could make her one. And I agreed, because I think it's super cute if you can be like matching with your daughter. And so I bought more yarn because I wanted to use the brown Slovenian yarn that I have left for a pair of like socks, the ribbed ones on 4mm needles by Petite Knit, because I want to wear those around the house as like my slippers. And so I bought other yarn, and this is like an ecological Shetland whatever. And it's very rough. It feels like one of those exfoliator gloves, but it is wool, and I think it's going to be really warm, but it is a fingering weight. So I put it on 3.5mm needles, which you're supposed to do with a Sophie scarf, but because Lieke's version the yarn was a little thicker, I used 4mm needles. So this one might be a little bit more narrow and a little shorter maybe than the one that Lieke has, but the scarf is going to be exactly the same. And this was the only yarn that they had like that matched the color close enough to the other one, because she wanted it in the same color. And so I started it, but I didn't really, because she said there's like no hurry to finish it. And I felt like I just had to finish that pink scarf first for some reason, okay? It's just in my mind. I'm a bit autistic. Maybe I shouldn't say that, to the point that I feel like, because I told myself I can't have more than 2 WIPs, works in progress, at the same time. But then again, I was like, this is not a work in progress because it's not for me. But then it doesn't work that way, you know? So I'm gonna put this aside and finish the scarf first, hopefully. And then, I mean, there's nothing else I can say about this. This is a third Sophie scarf I've made so far. I personally am not a big fan of the design. I bought the pattern in the first place because my boyfriend's mom, it was her birthday in March, and so I got that because I wanted to knit her something, because I just feel like knit gifts are very nice and personal. But then I didn't know what I could finish in time, and then I saw the Sophie scarf because it's like the best-selling pattern on Ravelry of 2022, and so I made that for her in a yarn that I had lying around in like a light blue, because I thought it looked really good with her hair and her eyes. And so then I've made one for Lieke this year, and then I'm making one for her mom too. I've never made one for myself, actually, because it's not something I like bandanas more than these kind of thin scarves. I don't like the fact that it ends in a point for some reason. I don't like it. Not with a Sophie's shawl either. Oh my god, while I was eating my oatmeal, I was looking at my TikTok, and I forgot about this, but last year it just sucked me in so bad, and it is the frazzled English woman trend, and the English woman, and I love it. And it's like these pictures from the early 2000s of Bridget Jones, Keira Knightley, and then sometimes even what's her name, Helena Bonham Carter, of this just a frazzled English woman with like a scarf and like a weird hat most of the times, and then her hair thrown in like a claw clip like Bridget Jones does. And like the whole thing of Bridget Jones is to be like, she's fat and she's messy, but I love her so much. I like the, like, I don't know, it did something with me. It's not that I was like, ooh, I love this aesthetic, but it just evoked such a visceral, like, feeling in my core that just made me cry. I don't know. The first time I saw it, the pictures that the person posted just encapsulated that, like, idea that I had in my head so perfectly that it made me cry. It made me feel nostalgic because I feel like that's what my mom used to wear when I was, like, a baby. And I have sounds like a stupid brag, but I have, like, a really good memory of when I was, like, 2 years old. And I just remember how everything looked and how our house looked and how, like, other people's houses looked and how people looked on the street. And seeing those pictures at that time, it's, like, rare, you know, because you don't see, you see the Y2K Paris Hilton pictures, you see the 2014 Arctic Monkey pictures, but you don't see those 2004 to 2006. Like, I've told my mom before, we were watching 13 Going on 30, and I saw, like, the apartment that Mark Ruffalo had, and I was like, this is just, like, such a 2008 dad apartment that just gives me such a nostalgic feeling. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's like, it evokes this nostalgic feeling in me, and I don't know how to explain it, and I probably sound like a fool, but it just made me feel right at home seeing that trend on TikTok, and I now want to turn my house and my whole closet into that frazzled English woman closet. And, like, I don't give a... Like, forget about the Scandinavian neutrals, forget about whatever. I want to look like Bridget Jones, but a little bit more frazzled. And I already have a trench coat, but, like, a long wool coat would be even better. And then that pink scarf would do perfectly. I just need to... I don't know why, but seeing those kind of pictures... I'm sorry, I'm sidetracking a lot. Those kind of pictures make me so happy seeing those. And it just makes me feel so comfortable looking at what those people are wearing. And I'm like, I want to do that too. But then it's so much easier to, like, have in your head, like, what your entire closet should be. And then finding those pieces, or, like, I forget about it and I don't know. And then I don't think about it until I see those pictures. And then I'm like, I feel fucking miserable in what I'm wearing. Or not miserable, but I'm like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I can appreciate street style or, like, a Scandinavian style or, like, a super modern style. And I, like, appreciate it. And I think they're pretty. And, like, I like to wear them. But that frazzled English woman style is what really resonates with me. I don't know why. It resonates with me. And I have some clothing pieces that I think encapsulate them well, and they are my mom's from the early 2000s. But I don't know. How did I even start talking about this? I don't remember. But anyway, that's the Sophie scarf. It's going to take a while, probably. I mean, it's going to take a while until I finish it because I'm not going to actively work on this. I'm going to work on this every once in a while. But because it's such a tiny project, it goes by pretty quickly. Like, I did 16 rows in, like, 5 minutes. So it goes by pretty quickly. But it's just not something that is, like, in the forefront of my mind. Okay. The next project I have here is a very exciting one, but a really frustrating one. I saw a picture of Shaun the Sheep. Again, back with the English things. I saw a picture of Shaun the Sheep, and he was wearing a sweater, a fisherman's sweater, with 3 diamond cables in the front and a really thick collar and nothing else. And I thought, I'm going to make that. I'm going to do that because it's an Aaron sweater, but because it's an animated character, of course, they weren't going to put a honeycomb stitch on it. So, what is going on with my neighbors? Like, are they on my floor? I don't know. Anyway, so I saw that picture, and I was like, it's clear that it's supposed to be an Aaron sweater, but it's, like, obviously simplified to animate the character. And I thought, I actually quite like that. Like an Aaron sweater, but not that much going on. Just the front. Because Aaron sweaters, they have it on the front, on the back, on the sleeves, and it's usually, like, a big centerpiece with, like, diamond cables or a honeycomb, and then on the side you have 2 cables, and then it's very symmetrical. But then I thought, you know, I love the look of cables, but I want, like, a more simplistic version of it. And also, it goes by quicker because you don't have to think about 50,000 types of cables. And so I bought yarn. While I was on my ban of starting new projects, I bought Drops Alaska in the color Wheat. And I must say, in some lighting, I'm kind of disappointed with it. It looks a lot more greenish than I wanted it to look initially. So yeah, I don't know. But it's clear that it's supposed to be like a beige color, right? But sometimes it looks a little bit like greenish, and I don't like that much. So, this is what I have so far. Okay, so I want to make a pattern for this, and I basically calculated almost everything except for the sleeves on how you can knit the sweater itself, but not yet how to incorporate the cables for different sizes, because I don't know how I can like do it with a neckline and where to start them and this and that. But that's a problem for later. I feel like calculating the whole sweater is like more important. So I worked the back with German short rows. I've never done German short rows on a design of my own because I was too scared to do them and calculate them into different sizes. But I did do it now, and here we are. Oh, I'm making this on 5mm needles. I'm kind of regretting that now. I think I should have gone for 5.5 because I wanted this to be about the same size as the weekend sweater that I made. But I didn't take into consideration that because of the cables, it scrunches up a lot more. So it's very narrow. It almost looks like the size of a children's sweater. I mean, this is it. So I don't know what I should do because I was kind of disappointed with how the Moby sweater came out for everybody. It was a lot more like, it didn't have as much ease as I thought it would. And so I wanted to make a really boxy Aran sweater. Basically like the same thing as the weekend sweater, but then with cables. And yeah, I'm kind of regretting it now. I think I should have added a couple more stitches on the side. But like the back looks fine. The back looks fine width-wise, and the front has the exact same amount of stitches, but it's just because of the cables, I think, that it looks a lot smaller. I'm sorry, by the way, about all the needles hitting the sides of the chair, but, I mean, I don't care. Oh, and I added a collar in 2x2, because I love 2x2 a lot more than 1x1. But at first I was thinking that a 1x1 would look nicer for this type of sweater, but I'm actually really glad that I went with 2x2. It's a bit narrow. It's a bit narrow to get over my head, but it does fit. It's not like it's not going to fit, and it's quite comfortable when wearing it. And I like that look of a really thick collar that sits right like against your neck, just like Tiffany Lou does with her, like all of her new designs also have like a really thick, juicy collar. And I wanted to kind of like take some inspiration from that. So as you can see, the cables, they just go, there's 3, 1 in the middle. The reason why I'm kind of struggling with the neckline measurements is because I want the cable to start exactly in the middle, but it's kind of hard to decide how I should do that and whatever. So it is every cable is divided by these twisted rib rows. And it kind of looks like there's a lot of purl stitches going on, and that's true because I added 2 purl stitches after every panel, because otherwise the panels, like the diamonds, would reach all the way to the twisted rib, and I didn't want that. So it kind of looks a little bit overwhelming, but I think it's fine. Like as a whole, it looks nice, but I'm so fucking frustrated about this. I knit a row in the middle of this diamond instead of purling it, and now there's just like a line. So I'm like debating on whether or not I should like embroider on an extra line just to have it look properly. Makes a lot of noise. Anyway, yeah, that's that. The yarn is also really scratchy, but it's 100% wool, so it makes sense. And the cables are kind of hurting my hands, so I'm taking a little bit of a break. I also think maybe I should have done 5.5 needles for that reason as well, because it would have been a lot easier on my hands with these needles. And my camera is about to die. So I switched over to my phone, which hopefully looks right, and hopefully it still sounds okay, because I use my phone as my microphone. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about is actually not something that I knit myself, but is handmade by somebody else and that I bought. Which sounds horrible. Horrible explanation of what I mean. Okay, so I'm unable to show you the whole thing, but I'm from Belgium, right? And we have this secondhand store called the Think Twice, and it's like a big ass chain. And we have one like shopping street that's really big where I'm from, and they have like 4 on that shopping street, so it's a big thing, right? And I am currently in a tiny obsession with stranded color work and trying to learn how to do it. And so at home, because I'm in my dorm right now, at home with my mom, I started a scrap sweater with a pattern by drops, just because it's free and it's easy and it's on 5.5 millimeters, so it goes by really fast, and it's turning out great. But I'm still too scared to do like a proper stranded colorwork sweater for myself. And I was walking home from campus and I came across the Think Twice, and I saw this baby hanging in the window. Only has one sleeve right now. The color, the blue, is not something I would originally go for, but it has moose on the front, and I love moose. It reminds me of Sweden, and I love Sweden, and I miss my family in Sweden. The blue is a little bit more green than I would like, but the reason I bought it is because it was 19 euros, which is not a lot, and I think this is 100% wool as well, and it's handmade. There's no tag in this besides the one from the store. There's no tag, and it's clearly hand sewn together. And I don't know, I took this and I wanted to use this as inspiration on how to, like, for floats and stuff. But when I tried it on at home, because I didn't try it on in the store because I was too lazy, the sleeves bunched up really weird. They felt really thick at the seams over here. And so I was wondering why that was. And then I realized, oh, they are sewn on and they were not cast on like I do, like I did with this one. They were sewn on. And so when you turn it inside out, the person, I suppose they did this for reinforcement reasons, but it was secured like this. So this is part of the sleeve, and it was sewn shut. And so I took it apart, I opened it up, and so the body and the sleeve were sewn together, and then this little flat part was also butts sewn onto it, if that makes sense. And so I took it apart. I already took off the first sleeve. And by the way, the reason I took it off is because I want to make it less bunched up and thick on the sides, right? So I took off the sleeve. Also, the sleeve is a bit long for me, but I don't want to unravel it because that's like too scary for me. And also the decrease, like the slope is like very drastic, I feel like. But I don't want to touch the actual knitting because I'm afraid I'm going to ruin it. So I actually think it looks quite nice. But so as you can see, this white edge right here is where the sleeve was sewn on. So I think, which might be scary, but what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unravel part of this white, like 1 centimeter edge. And then, like, obviously the nicest would be if I could have just magically cast on that sleeve, but I can't do that because the sleeve is already made. But what I can do is I can just sew it on without that extra overlap, without that extra bulk, because I don't feel like I'm not gonna wear this sweater until it falls off my shoulders, right? I think just like a normal, I can either like crochet it together inside out and then it just looks like this on the outside. But I think I'm just gonna take that apart and then sew it back on. So I still have to take this sleeve off. I was thinking about making a separate video about this, but then I was like, it's not that exciting. Like, I could make a TikTok about it, but then again, I already took off the sleeve, so there's no way you can see the before. I can only show you the after. But it does feel really scary. I did this kind of impulsively too. Yesterday evening, I was really stressed out and I was postponing all of my uni work. And so I just started ripping off this sleeve. And I was like, Inka, do you even know what you're doing? Do you even know why you're doing this or how you're gonna fix it? Turns out I do now. But it was like, it was as if I was drunk and I don't remember why I was doing this. But yeah, I think it's gonna be nice if I take some of the bulk off because it does fit nice overall. It's just that those sleeves made it look really like I was a Michelin man, like I was standing like this. And then if that's fixed, if that looks nice, I might take the risk and take some length off of the sleeve and then just reattach, like unravel it for like this much maybe, and then just make the ribbing a bit longer because I'm not a fan of this really short ribbing. On the bottom, it doesn't bother me as much because it's the bottom, you know? But I did love just the overall look of the body with this, just like this little stitch. I thought that was really nice and cute. But yeah, we just have a separate sleeve now. It's a bit, you know what I mean? It's very tight and it's very long, and I don't like it when my sleeves go over my hand. Like, it's warm for sure, but I don't live in the mountains of Norway or something, you know? So yeah, we're gonna take the bulk off. This sweater is also, by the way, just it's squares. It's 2 squares. There's no back row shaping. There's nothing. And I don't know. It looks like she just, I'm assuming it's a she because it's like a knitting grandma. The sides were like for the sleeves. Like the body, I feel like was knit in the round, but then I think she just, oh wait. Oh, maybe I feel like she knit this as an entire tube without armholes, and then she just cut open the sides and steeked them. She steeked them because they are machine sewn edges. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's smart, because I was thinking about how do people make stranded colorwork sweaters without a Scandinavian like round yoke, because this doesn't have a round yoke, you know? So how do they do the armholes? But that makes sense because back and forth stranded colorwork doesn't work. Oh, now I get it. Because there's no seams on the sides of the body. So that makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll wear it as a sleepover for a while. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna round up, round out, I don't know. In Dutch you can say afronden, which means we're gonna quit, stop, finish it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this knitting podcast. I haven't purchased any new yarn except for the one I'm using for the Sophie scarf, but I don't have the label anymore, so I don't know what it's called. But the lady who keeps the yarn store follows me on Instagram now, which I think is really cool because it's kind of like a famous yarn store / fabric store where I'm from, so that's really cool. Also, I posted one TikTok that was not about knitting and it went kind of viral. It has 173,000 likes right now and almost 1 million views. So I don't know how that happened, but now I have like 300 extra followers that are probably following me not because of the knitting. So like it looks like my following is really big, but like my engagement is not gonna go up because of it. Anyway, I'm also almost at 800 followers on Instagram, which I think is really cool. That has been like gradually going up too, which is really nice because in the beginning of the summer, I was like stuck at, I don't even remember, like 500 or something like that. And now I'm almost at 800, which is like really cool. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's fun. Like, I didn't even know it, but apparently Milena Paulina follows me, who I like admire on Instagram. She makes really cool, I think she's Polish and she makes really cool things. And Typical Bliss follows me, Tiffany Lou, which was also really exciting. Like I don't think she knows who I am, but I'm part of her Discord for her stream, so I think that's how she follows me because we don't really like I react to her story, but it's not like we know each other. Anyway, so doesn't matter. So please go follow me on Instagram, go follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's all Monsters Inc. I was thinking a while ago about changing the name, but my business email and stuff is also Monsters Inc. So there's like no, it's awkward, but I'm not gonna change it anymore. So yeah, if you want to stick around, follow me on all those social media platforms. I sell patterns on Ravelry, currently only Ravelry. Maybe once I start making a little bit more profit, I would love to make a website. Please stay tuned for my Pearly and Pink cardigan. My testers are sending me back the feedback right now, and then once I get some pictures from my testers, I will be putting out that pattern hopefully by the end of next week, which would be at the beginning of November. So It's gonna be really exciting because it's my first clothing pattern I'm publishing. I wrote sizes from an extra small to a double XL. One day I hope to be even more inclusive, but I'm just learning how to grade patterns, so this is like the max I could do at the moment for my brain's capacity. I would love to be as inclusive as I could, but for right now it's XS to 2XL until I get better at knitting math. Girl math, knitting math. Okay, that's a long outro. I'll see you next week, in a couple of weeks, I don't know. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and bye!